Stephen, do you still intend to be muted?
Now I do not intend to be muted.
Okay, all right.
You're good. I'll go check it on YouTube. So you guys are.
I think is the commissioner chair.
Yeah, but you're the vice chair, there's no commission there.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. All right. The time is 2:06 p.m. March 20th. I'll call to order the Grand County Criminal Justice Coordinating Council. In attendance, we have Jessica Allred appearing for Commissioner Mike McCurdy, Chief Mon Police Department Chief Lex Bell, Grand County Sheriff Jameson Wiggins, Grand County Justice Court Judge Danielle Welsh O'Donnell. In attendance as well online is Managing Public Defender Chris Rogers, as well as Mr. Brewer is your title, Director of Four Corners.
Yeah, Clinical Director of Four Corners.
Clinical Director of Four Corners, Ellen Brewer, as well as myself, Stephen Stocks, County Attorney, and we have the wonderful Chrissy Hoffine joining us and helping us out as well. So now that we've been called to order, we have our agenda today, and the agenda, I think we just have discussion items. We've got nothing on our discussion, but we could go around and just give updates. I can start us off. We've been implementing, and the sheriff will speak to this, we've been implementing the pretrial services, which has been going wonderful. We have the ankle monitors. I think we're getting training, or they're doing training on that. I think next week.
Yeah.
Next week they'll do training so that way they'll have GPS capabilities and scram devices.
Yeah.
Okay. And we've been putting individuals on that. It's appearing to have worked really well. Got some compliance from folks. We're still working out the kinks on sanctions. For what those look like, we've had only one individual that's on pretrial release right now that's struggling with that and it was out of compliance. We'll talk to Judge Welsh O'Donnell as well as Judge Torgerson to see what we'd like to see for sanctions and whether the court would want that to come back to the judges to sign off on the sanctions before they're incarcerated or afterwards. We haven't streamlined that yet, but we've been working with both Kurt DeLear and Kurt Brewer on that item. Otherwise, I think that's the major item that we've been talking about. I think we also have the domestic violence stakeholder meeting that we had recently I think it was last week. And then also we were selected for the ICCR cohort. We were selected with 4 other entities, and that was Detective Robert Sterry that spearheaded that effort. So that's phenomenal. And then can't remember if there's any other exciting things. I think otherwise it's just business as usual. Ms. Allred, did you have anything for Commissioner McCurdy?
I did not.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chief Bell?
I think you covered basically everything I was thinking about as far as the ICCR and stakeholder meeting. I can't think of anything. I've got Delu coming in right now.
Oh, wonderful.
So to just talk about his experience with it so far, the pretrial service.
I don't know if there's not an additional round of funding, or I don't know if there are other things that we want to put on the wish list of things for the.
I think we should try to just get it funded again, because if we don't get it funded again, the county has to pick it up.
I think that as we get into the year a little bit and with pretrial services, I think that it would fit well with supervising domestic violence pilot or participants. Because that is a huge gap that we're missing right now in that. Not that there's a lot of probationary services that they necessarily need, but there's just that coordinating piece that we're missing. Like, are you working? Are you actually going to treatment? What's your treatment provider saying? You know,
Right.
Those kind of, that's where we're missing that piece compared to other domestic violence pilot courts, because they have, they're doing like, their treatment providers are providing updates to the group, and they have a probation officer essentially.
Yep.
So I think that, and I know that Amy with Hernandez of the AOC writes a lot of grants and has knowledge about where a lot of those funds may be, and that's something that we've talked about in the past, and she's wondered if that was something that your office,
Yeah,
or one of the offices would be willing to do, and I told her that when we got the pretrial service position, that may fit well with that, and she agreed to. Yeah, I think that could definitely be a source of funding that would be helpful.
And it's a yearly grant, that one is, that you're aware of, or is there money?
There's a
state.
lot of.
that's for the state or a federal grant.
She works on a lot of different
Okay.
grant levels, but there are some state grants too, so I don't know.
Well, this
Which is
grant
better.
is funded by the CJCC,
Mhm.
so hopefully it's not the same. Yeah,
Yeah, the one that you guys were awarded, I believe it was specifically for pretrial services.
Mhm.
But supplementing that would not be terrible.
Yeah.
We can look into that. That's great.
And
Yes,
there was some that were available to courts, and I don't know if those are gonna be ongoing still or not, but there wasn't as much funding for other entities, but courts have like $1 million.
sweet, well, we get somebody.
And so if that were, rolled into that would work.
Yeah.
Is there the number of units that you'll have? Do you think, I mean, I guess we'll probably have to wait to know whether that's gonna be sufficient.
Yeah, probably have to wait.
Is other resources or other needs that the court has for funding? We don't have the
We-
problems of like needing booths.
No, but just something to note that the pretrial service deputies are also doing drug court participants, and that used to be funded by the CJCC, and then they yanked the funding from it, so then the county kind of ate it. So they are wearing multiple hats, so.
I would also, I mean, I think that because pretrial is so new, sort of focusing on that for a little while is probably in the best interest of the program and this body, so that we're not spreading ourselves thin
Right.
and creating a situation where we've bitten off when we can chew, especially with the county the way it is. I think it's sort of important to
Yeah.
keep our focus on this specifically, and because it seems to be doing well and we want it to succeed.
Right.
So this is something.
It just depends. I mean, we only have so many monitors. I think we have like 10 GPS monitors. And we didn't want, when we originally set it up, we just didn't want to overwhelm the guys with the too many participants, kind of like APMP's overwhelmed all of their staff. Yeah, that's where I was going. Yeah, but
He said where when we talked with him last time, he said that he could take on quite a bit. He doesn't want to say his number, but I think there's about 8. I think he could comfortably do at least 20. So
it's good.
And I think it's just important. I mean, honestly, I think we'll see cases move faster because anybody that's on pretrial services, it's like they're on APMP supervision.
Right.
And so resolving their case and having court supervision might lower the amount of inconvenience the defendants might feel.
Yeah.
But also we're seeing folks get access to treatment. And I think that's the most important part, is having that consistent follow-up, like have a drug court tracker. I think having both the CURDs there for the drug court participants has been really helpful, and it keeps people on their toes.
Good.
Do we want to? I know it's short notice for Kurt. Do we want to wait for him?
Yeah, I would. I
Yeah,
mean,
okay.
but if you guys have something else to talk about.
Mr.
Mr.
Brewer, do you have any thoughts on any input of needs or thoughts on the pretrial services? I know that it hasn't existed very long. But if there are things from your point of view that you're seeing, that would be wonderful to get your insight.
Yeah, so we're talking about like the services, like this is where treatment comes in, is pretrial or what?
Well, so the coordinating council was originally designed to help identify needs for this community. And so over the past year, we identified that we're lacking pretrial services. And so what we did is we pushed for a grant to be able to obtain and receive a grant for pretrial services. That grant was a one-time grant that provided salary for an additional person to be there. Do they provide additional funding for the
Yeah.
units?
Yeah, they provided a small amount of money to purchase the equipment and then to purchase like their patrol vehicle.
So we received those items. That was our big push. And the idea was that that would help serve the community. This group is of individuals on this board is a cross section of different players in the criminal justice sphere. So we can take insight and input about the needs in this community. And so there are things that you're seeing from the treatment standpoint that you think could be helpful. It's great to hear it. We were just kind of highlighting the pretrial services, as that's been something that's been new and something that we're just starting off with. So one thing that if you hear that people are on pretrial services, that means that they'll be contacted by either Kurt DeLue or Kurt Brewer about continuing their compliance with pretrial release. So that's kind of the back element of it. It is brand new. It's been a month, maybe about a month that it's been in effect. And so we're just kind of checking in and seeing if we have ideas and thoughts and other areas of need.
Okay, I gotcha. Thanks. Sorry, is this the first meeting for everyone, or is this just my first meeting?
It might be your first one. We've been meeting for a year, but we meet
Oh, okay.
quarterly.
I realized you had been left off the list and I apologize. So I recently added you to my email folder and sent you this invite. So I do apologize that you weren't invited before. That was an oversight on my part.
Oh, no problem. It's all good. Yeah, no
We
worries.
originally had Kara Cunningham.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I think I'm just still learning. I kind of want to just learn from you all and kind of figure out what it's all about before chiming in too much. But as far as updates go, I just want to let you know that Coy Cook is now the program director of the Four Corners Community Behavioral Health Clinic in Moab. So he's officially taken on that role. And I think that's the biggest update we have. We're still looking for a few therapists. But yeah.
Excellent. And now that, I guess, Tracker DeLue is here, we could turn it over to him to kind of give us just information about pretrial services and tracking. That'd be wonderful.
Sure. Spot. No, actually, I was involved with another individual that's on Kurt's caseload, so I was coming over to UA him. Excellent. So pretrial pretty plainly is just another form of probation before their case is adjudicated. I have currently 7 participants, I believe. It's pretty standard issue. Face-to-face visits at home or at work or wherever I can find them. Contacts on the phone if I can get that, if they have a phone. Some of them are homeless, so they don't have that. The basis of pretrial is to try and get them through their trial as fast as possible, if we can. It falls along the same lines as APMP, basically violations and sanctions, and we don't do a lot of affirmations or rewards on pretrial services. We're basically just there to supervise them until their court is done. We're still working on some of the sanction paperwork so that everybody has an idea of what exactly, if they have a dirty UA or something like that, what we'll do. I'm trying to be as lenient as possible right now, just starting out. I'm trying to help them make it to their court case. If I can keep them out of jail, I will. The whole purpose of pretrial is to help them stay out of jail. I'm trying to do that, as long as they don't force me into a position where I have to put them back into them. I have worked with the city a little bit in finding people, so that's been good, kind of passing along the message, hey, can you look out for this guy? So on and so forth. Any questions? Does anybody have any questions about it that they would like to ask?
I have a question.
Yes.
So this sounds cool. I really like this grant. It sounds awesome. What does the research show if we're able to get involved and keep people out of jail, pre-adjudication? Are there good outcomes? Are there better outcomes? Like what's the
Yeah.
research behind this?
Some of the research that I've read, if we can get them through their court case fairly quickly, this is a good thing. If they have a long time between their court dates, a long time between anything moving forward in the court case, then they have a higher chance of failing to appear, failing to comply, those kinds of things. If their court case moves fairly quickly, we do fairly well. And this is just an added buffer or bonus help to get them through that.
Isn't that standard though in anybody that's waiting on a court case, the longer.
You hope, right?
More of a chance they read that.
Yep, anytime there's a lengthy span between what they're supposed to be doing, there's a good chance that they'll read it back. I'm just kind of that stopgap measure in between those, hopefully that I can help them get to their court case a little bit easier.
And the other thing that we see in this area is we have a lot of folks that are maybe unsheltered and don't have as many access to resources or consistency with their obligations. And so having a tracker assist them and remind them, that way we don't have a case that, but for just reminder, help or check-ins, their case takes 2 years to adjudicate because it turns into they fail to appear, they get arrested, they get released, they get another court date, then they miss it again. And that way we can kind of help support them through that. I think that's one of the goals. The other thing that we do is if there are individuals that are on the fringe, they're not from the community or they have, higher risks associated with them from a prosecution position, I'm going to ask for them to remain incarcerated. And so if they remain incarcerated, then it really puts their life on freeze and they don't really get to be exposed to the elements of everything that life has, be it earlier engagement treatment, working with their family members, things like that. So it's a huge benefit to them if we have the ability to put them or to release them and then they're released and they can proceed with life as opposed to me arguing for them to just be incarcerated because I'm concerned or afraid that, they'll have another domestic violence incident or whatever it may be. So it provides more benefit to those that are looking at a longer term incarceration before their case can become adjudicated.
I do have one prime example right now of an individual that got put on my caseload not very long ago. Homeless, no contact, no point of contact. Family here was part of the protective order. The only place I could meet with him was at McDonald's or anywhere that had Wi-Fi, because his phone was a Wi-Fi connected phone. Anyways, the last time that I met with him at McDonald's, I noticed there were a lot of things going on with him, and as there are with a lot of people that are unsheltered, homeless, whatever you want to call them. Anyways, I got him to go to the hospital. I got him to get checked out. They took him to Moab Recovery. They put him in Moab Recovery overnight. They got him. We spoke pretty much every day after that. I talked him into going to detox, and he pretty much talked himself into going to detox and Price. They sent him to Price. He went through the detox. They sent him to Salt Lake to get to Ogden so he could go through the Moab Recovery. I don't think any of that would have happened. He would still be here in town somewhere, probably dead, quite honestly. If he wouldn't have had some other type of, hey, keep doing this, keep doing this, keep doing this. It's not going to happen with every case for sure, but if I can help some of them move along to something else or to get them into a better position, it benefits the community, it benefits law enforcement, or they're not dealing with them on a consistent basis. So he is in Weaver Recovery right now.
That's wonderful.
Excellent. Yeah, I really like that happened. That's how it should happen. I think that a lot of the people that will need this service are going to be people, as far as substance use goes, they're going to be people that already meet residential level need or detox, like you said. I bet you there's a ton of those individuals that that we can't, you know, on an outpatient level, we can treat them if they come in, right? But sometimes the barrier is getting them to come in because they're so far into their addiction. And so the fact that you're able to be that contact and connection so that we can break that cycle and then get them to rehab and then outpatient, I think is super invaluable. Like that's probably gonna happen quite a bit.
I hope he's probably a unicorn. This doesn't happen very often where they make a decision to actually go into recovery on their own. So when they shipped him to Price, the vehicle that was supposed to be waiting for him there, never showed up. He walked from where they dropped him off to the recovery center, which I don't know how far that was. He made an effort to get there. They shipped him from Price to Salt Lake. The bus was supposed to be there to go to Ogden. The bus wasn't there. He walked to Salt Lake all night long, called his mom. His mom came and picked him up and took him to Weaver Recovery. But I could have held a gun to his head and he still wouldn't have done that if he had made that choice. Pardon the expression, but he had to make that all on his own. I talked to him, I kept him basically going that direction, but without him making that decision, he would have never gone. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It has to be their decision, right? It has to be their decision. It's more a matter of like striking one while the iron's hot, right? Sometimes they go through these ebbs and flows of being committed to treatment and not. And so it sounds like he was in that ebb and you got him where he needed to go while he was still committed. And if I'll give you my number so that if you need help with any of that, as far as like if somebody's committing to that, we can help make sure that there's transportation and stuff like that. Our detox unit is it's social detox, which we have utilized in a similar fashion to help people get detoxed. It's not for opiates or alcohol, unless they're safe to detox without medical supervision, but it's like meth and cannabis that people can be safely detoxed there, and then we ship them up to rehab usually. So we just opened and expanded that detox unit because there was such a big need to 7 beds there, and they can stay up to a week. And like you don't have to go through 4 corners or anything like that. We have law enforcement drop people off at the receiving center, and doing it like they'll do an assessment there and stuff like that. So it's like it's a hub for anybody to go to. Like you wouldn't even have to go through like the local 4 corners. But if you do need assistance or help, the people aren't mobilizing transportation wise, we can help you. We have case managers that can help and stuff like that. I'll share my number in the chat here for you.
No, don't share it in the chat. I got it.
Oh, okay.
I'll get-
Sorry.
This is recorded and it's put up live on YouTube.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Well, now I know. I made more funny jokes, I guess.
Please keep that.
Is there a way that defense can help with facilitating through cases through quickly? Especially people who are on pretrial. If it's more, and I agree, the quicker we can get through, clients get through the court system, it's more beneficial to them. But on the pretrial level, is there a way that we can facilitate that? Like if there's someone who you see who needs to be in court, you could like call me and say, pay special attention to this case so we can move it along.
I'd love to say that's possible. I don't know how fast I could make any court system move.
I can give you Chris's number.
One thing I think,
Yeah, on YouTube, thanks.
No, I'm just.
I think one thing that'll happen just naturally from having the tracker involved is there's an obligation for them to have contact with defense counsel a certain number of times per week. And if they're in contact with a tracker and they're appearing in court, I think it's going to make and I'm not gonna say any names, but there are frequent flyers that oftentimes, but for their unwillingness to go to court or them disappearing, and then coming back a couple months later, their cases likely would be resolved.
Okay.
And so I think having the tracker there, he'll follow up with them. They'll be required to go to court. If they fell through the obligations, we don't want to put people in jail, but we put them in jail. And I think it makes a decent argument to both Judge Welsh O'Donnell and Judge Torgerson that if they're on the pretrial release terms and not complying there, that they're probably going to need to remain incarcerated until their trial. And if that happens, then again, I think both having the tracker's presence and encouraging sobriety and other factors, I think that'll naturally just help the cases move forward.
I think part of my responsibility is to make sure that they know that their next court date is this.
Okay.
If they're showing up for their court dates, then generally speaking, that court date helps them move along. They get further in the process if they show up. So,
Okay. Whatever we can do on the defense side, I'm absolutely supportive of this. I think this is like the most positive thing to come out of a grant, especially saving one life. I mean, that's just like incredible.
well, you hope, right? Like I said, my last conversation with him was, he was in recovery and doing what he needed to do. Anybody could do that as long as they make that choice. Whether or not that had anything to do with pretrial services or not, I don't know, but I'm glad that he made that decision at the end.
Excellent. Well, I think that was our major topic. I don't know if any of our partners here had anything else that we wanted to discuss or bring up. Otherwise, I think we're just looking at our next date, June. It's, what is it, the 2nd?
We can pick that, whatever you guys want. We just have to have one in here.
We get to a meeting in June. Is this time slot still work for everyone? Okay.
If you guys know of any grants between now and the end of the year, where I can apply for to keep the position funded, you know, between now and at least until November.
Okay.
I'll apply for.
Third Thursday in June at the same time.
So I actually push this. We usually
The
do it
20th?
first,
Oh, sorry,
but
Or whoops, no, the 19th.
yeah.
Do we reckon, oh yeah, we keep
They're
doing that.
celebrating it on, they're doing it on the 16th this year.
They are.
Sure.
Oh, we are, okay. We do match the state.
And that's what the state
Yeah.
is doing. Or is it the 20?
Should be the 19th. We'll check with the county to see if they made that change official.
They did,
They did, good.
they did.
So
Just
then,
don't remember if it's the 6th. I think it's the Monday.
it's the Monday.
yes, it's Monday.
before. Be the 16th.
Stay fine. Okay, June 19th at the same time. We'll all come back for another exciting round, and if we'll probably bother Tracker DeLu about having a follow-up on this. And then any other things that we can work on. Always happy to hear about that. So unless there's any other comment, I guess we'll look to adjourn. Seeing none, we'll close it out. The time's 2:34. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
And if you go and hit mute,